happening? Thanks for tuning in. You're watching The Buzz. And today we are taking a family trip to surprise that little one for just a quick weekend getaway. And the unfortunate part is it looks like I'm going to have to valet park my Tesla Model 3. And I wanted to show you the settings that you need to turn on and able to do this, and some other things that you may want to take into consideration as you are valeting your Tesla Model 3. So let's go take a look. Before we get started, I wanted to go over some of the features that come with valet mode, if you will, so you have an understanding, and then we're going to go ahead and show you how to set everything up. So let's go ahead and get started. You can find these instructions or information in your owner's manual, but I'm going to go ahead and go through them really quickly here so you have an understanding of what valet mode can do and doesn't do. So let's get started. So first of all, the speed is limited to 70 miles per hour. But there's another way around that if you want to reduce the speed even further so that you don't have a valet guy driving, or valet girl, I don't want to discriminate, driving around your Tesla Model 3, at very high speed. So you can actually decrease that a little bit further, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a few moments. Acceleration and power are limited. Now, they don't really give any kind of percentages here as far as what they're limited to, but what I have experienced, which I'll pop up here later on, was still quite a bit of power at the throttle. So that's one thing we'll have to discuss. The frunk and the glove box are locked, which I think most people did assume or do assume that. Home and work locations and navigation are turned off. Really, navigation in general is turned off. You can't turn it on. There's no way for them to go in to navigation and get your home address or work address or any of your previous destinations that you may have traveled. So that's a good thing. Voice commands are completely disabled, so you cannot do anything. You cannot pair a phone to the car. Autopilot and convenience features are also disabled, so they won't be able to use traffic aware cruise control or autopilot while they're driving the car, because remember, they are only supposed to be taking it from one point to another point, which should not be that far away, typically within a block or two usually. But the allow mobile access setting is also disabled. HomeLink is also disabled. Driver profiles are also not accessible when you are in valet mode. The touchscreen also does not list the keys that have access to the Tesla Model 3. So remember, you are just giving them your Tesla keycard. And also, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are disabled when in valet mode. You can't pair a new device to Bluetooth, which, they shouldn't want to do that anyway, but, some people are a little bit crazy about that, but they do try and do that. I've seen that before, where I've had in my previous cars a phone that I had no idea whose it was connected to my car. So, valet is not something that I always do, but there are, in just some instances, there's no way around it. You have to valet. For instance, if you're going to a restaurant or something of that nature, 9 out of 10 times you are valeting unless you park blocks away and, make your way on foot to the restaurant or wherever it is that you're going. What else do we have here? I think that's about it as far as what is not available to the valet driver as they're driving your Model 3. Okay, so first of all, you have to make sure the car is in park in order for this to work. And what you have to do is you have to come up here and select your profile, and you'll see a mode for valet mode. And I have already done so, but you can set a pin to drive this thing so that they can't take it out of valet mode, and I'll show you that. See, there you go. So you have to enter in a pin in order to change the settings for valet mode. The cool thing that valet mode allows you to do, or prevents the valeter, if you will, from gaining access to some of your features here. So you can't touch the Tesla Model 3 to bring up any of that information. And actually, let me just cancel this so you could see. Navigation is not available, so they can't go back into your recent history, or if you have your home set up, they won't be able to gain access to that. Now, they can, do the map and everything like that. That's perfectly fine. They can get into the temperature controls and do all of that. The other thing is they can't get into the glove box. It is now grayed out. And the other cool thing is, if you look, you cannot get into the frunk. It is grayed out. You can't do that. The charger is available as well as the trunk, because they can also get into the trunk from the rear seat, so there's no sense of locking access to it. I am going to post up here in the application, because what you can do is you can set the speed limit down to 50 miles an hour, I believe, is the lowest setting that it will go to. So you can reduce the speed that they're able to travel as far as that is concerned. This way, you know, you're not allowing 85 miles an hour or 95 miles an hour, or whatever it's typically set at. I think default is 85. But you could restrict that on the application, and I'll pop it up here to show you how to do that. But that's another cool feature of Valet Mode. You know, the hard part, I think, is going to be is, do they understand how to, you know, put the car in park, reverse, and drive, and, you know, how to make sure that they know how to use the key card. It has to be set, you know, obviously down here for them to drive. Look how nice and dirty that is. Awesome. And that they have to know how to lock and unlock the car. So we're going to see if we can film this guy as he takes the car away to make sure he knows what he's doing. And I'll, of course, ask him and give him a quick tutorial on the car to make sure he understands what's happening. But I'll pop up that app. I'll show you how to reduce the speed limit on your application. And the cool thing is you can also turn off and on Valet Mode from the application as well. So let's get into that. Okay, so the first picture here, you can see that Valet Mode is simply turned on. And this specific function, you do not have to have Valet Mode turned on. You can use this speed restriction at any time you so choose to, but these are the steps you need to take. But it did work in this event, so I can simply decrease the miles per hour that I want anybody to drive the vehicle, including valet. So this is a pretty neat feature. So the second picture here you're going to see is Valet Mode on, and you see the setting for speed limit mode is turned on. Now when the speed limit mode is turned on, you will not be able to change the mile per hour to the setting that you desire. You actually have to turn it off, which is in this third picture here, and then set your mile per hour restriction level that you want to occur, and then turn the speed limit mode back on for it to be activated. Let's talk about some of the features here that are not disabled when you're in Valet Mode, which I may give Elon a tweet to see if there's anything he can do. He probably may just shove me off and say, hey, move along. But I do think if you're going through all this trouble to turn Valet Mode on, I think there are some things that are accessible that really shouldn't be, right? The idea behind Valet Mode is to allow them to drive the vehicle, and really that's it. They shouldn't be able to do anything on the touchscreen, in my opinion. Others may have a different opinion, and if you do, please comment down below. So let's go through the things that are not turned off on Valet Mode. Here are some of the things that are not turned off while you are in Valet Mode that should be. So they have full access to everything in your drive menu structure, so they can change and turn off any of these settings. They can adjust the wheel, the mirrors, all of that stuff. So in my opinion, if you are going to do Valet Mode and you have already restricted all these features, why would you leave one of the main control panels open for adjustment in this mode? I think that it would not be a big deal for Tesla to come in here and turn this off. I think that they should. There is no reason for a valet to come into the menus and change anything, and locking it out, I think, would be a very, very smart thing for Tesla to do. I also believe that they should turn off music. There is no reason for the valet to have access to music. Show your hands. No, I'm just kidding. Comment down below if you've ever been part of a valet or any other scenario where you came back into your car. Like, I remember one time I had my car being detailed out and I got back into it and the radio was just cranked and, you know, nearly made me jump out of my skin. There is no reason to provide them access to your radio either. So I think that is another feature that Tesla should turn off while in valet mode. It just doesn't make sense for them to have access to it. You want to limit anything that they can change or damage in the vehicle while driving it to and from its valet location. I don't mind them having access to the heat or AC at all. No big deal if they leave it on or off. It's going to turn off with the car, so no big deal. No harm in having it cranked either way. But those two features, I think, should absolutely be turned off. There's no reason for them to have access to it. Now, my phone, actually, you could see it's connected here, but when they are in this mode, they don't have access to turn this on, as I stated earlier on. But yeah, there's no reason for them to have access to this. But, you know, comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are, and you know, we'll debate it. But you know, the other thing that I think that they should turn off is the access to the charge port. I don't know in what situation you would want valet to have access to your charge port. There's no reason, unless they're pulling you into a location that has a charger, but I'm not quite sure I would, you know, really feel comfortable with them plugging the car in. Not that it's rocket science or anything like that, but it's just, there's no reason for that either. So I think that should be turned off. The trunk, I get, you know, they can access this through the back seat while they're inside the car, so no reason to turn it off. Okay, so it's going to be quite clear that he's not going to know how to do this, so I'm going to have to show him, you know, everything about getting this thing in drive and where to place the key card. So let's try and make this happen. So this is the key card that you need to use to lock and unlock the car, okay? Let me show you where you need to place it. So right here underneath this camera is how you lock and unlock the car, okay? This is how you open, okay? I'll get on that side so you know where to drive. No, you come over here. Okay, so in order for you to drive, you have to take this key and you have to place it right there, okay? By the cup holder. So in order to engage to park, you have to put your foot on the brake, and then it'll come down, and this is your drive stalk. So that's drive. You push it down the drive, yeah. Push in to park, and up for reverse, and in for park. You can see the little P and you push it in. If you don't have this thing set all the way, it won't go. Okay? So that has to be there. If you feel better for me to drive it to park it, you can come with me and I can drive it. It's up to you. I just want you to make sure you're okay driving the car.
It's okay. It's okay. Right now.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very touchy. Because I felt bad if I didn't know, you know, it's a little bit different to drive, and if you're not used to it, it could be a little cumbersome.
This is a new new car.
Yep. Okay, so it ends up being, after I showed the valeter, if you will, or the valet, how to use the key card and what he needs to do to put the car in drive and everything else, it seemed that he was very uncomfortable doing so. What ended up happening is I ended up driving around with him. He did drive the car, but I was in a passenger seat. I think he just felt more comfortable with me being in the car. And I will also say, although it is in valet mode, when he did tap the accelerator, it did go a little bit. So I think that still that very initial push was a little bit too much for him, because he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there was that much torque on the car. But he did fine. The instructions that I gave him as far as putting it in reverse and drive and park, he actually got right away, but was just really confused on why he had to set the key card down on the console and he kept on putting the key card to lock it way up above the camera on the side of the car, so he just wasn't quite familiar with that, and certainly never drove a Tesla before. So I was happy, and I felt much better going along for the ride and just making sure, one, the car was locked up, he parked it correctly. I know there's going to be a lot of comments, oh my God, Jerry, you should have never let valet take your car, but it was okay this time. So next time, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to take the Tesla Model 3 on a road trip where I have to have it valeted. We might just take the other car. You know, my take on valet mode. I think it was very useful. It made me feel a little more at ease. But most valet, at least that I have encountered thus far, have never driven a Model 3 before. So you want to make it simple for them. Give them the car key. Let them know how to lock and unlock the car. Let them know where to place this cool card to drive the vehicle. And that's it. Take all the guesswork out of it for them. Don't allow them to get into these menus and change anything so they can sit in here and play around. There's no need for that. I wonder what Elon would do or say, or would he even respond if I tweeted him and said, hey, can you disable these features? And he probably won't, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it is a good idea to turn some of this stuff off. There's no reason that they should have access to any of these things. But your opinion down below is much appreciated, folks. So there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. Have a great night. And don't forget, please give a thumbs up to the video. And don't forget to subscribe down below.